Welcome to From the Green Velvet Couch podcast. Through her professional career of being a life coach, therapist, and certified corporate wellness specialist, your host, Shelley O'Neill, has accompanied many on journeys of healing and personal wellness. Now join Shelley and her guest from the Green Velvet Couch.
I'm super excited today to have Dr. Tanner Evans with us and his buddy, Benny.
Yes, they need a skeleton.
So this is going to be a really fun, interactive podcast. So Tanner, tell me about your background and all of that.
So I'm Dr. Tanner Evans. I'm from West Kentucky Chiropractic in Benton, Kentucky. And I'm 35 years old and I love meeting people and working on people. And I went to Marshall County. I went to Murray State, 2015. I graduated from Logan in St. Louis. It's a great school. Love it. And they did preparing us, and being a good clinician and a chiropractor, it goes hand in hand. So we work with a lot of people with a lot of different things. It's fun coming to work every day.
Well, it's funny because so many of my family and friends talked about you before I'd ever met you. And so it's great to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm excited about the topic of breathwork because being a therapist and a life coach, we're always talking about regulating your emotions. You're going to talk about regulating your body and different things. So tell me what breathwork is and why it's so important.
So a lot of treatments, physical, mental, it starts with breathing and assessing if a person can engage their diaphragm, stabilize their trunk, thoracic mobility, the nervous system, any type of neurological disorders. It's very multifaceted. So a lot goes in it. Breathing is just a start. It's a way to evaluate a person and begin treating them and seeing how they stabilize and how they do breathe. Some people breathe very well with their diaphragm. Some people breathe more with their chest. So that's just a starting point.
And with breathworks, it's really a practice of breathing. And if you do any yoga or working with young children, I would always talk about how to breathe when they get upset and different things. So what you're saying is breathworks, it's like step one of everything as far as our emotional, physical health.
Yes. And it's something that just anybody can do because
For real, anybody can do.
don't need a PhD or anything to understand this. It's just feeling yourself breathe and kind of staying in tune. You always want to keep the lips closed, tongue against the roof of the mouth. That creates good negative pressure, keeps nasal mucosa moist. But as far as how the thoracic spine moves, how your rib cage expands, that's why I brought Benny, because he lets you see the ribs. These ribs move, okay? They don't move good on him because there's screws and plastic and stuff. But if you can imagine, all these bones are supposed to move as you breathe.
I really thought about that. I thought they were stable and static.
That's why I brought it. It was a visual representation. He doesn't have the muscles and nerves and stuff.
So it's fluid. My rib cage is just like fluid.
It's a fluid motion.
Fluid motion.
You do have fluid in around some of the spaces where it's supposed to be. The air moving into the lungs, into the nose, down the esophagus, into the bronchus. These are open spaces. So if we're crammed up doing a certain activity, we're not breathing, we're not getting good oxygen exchange, we're not getting good proprioceptive information from the body and the diaphragm.
So tell me about that because until you mentioned it, I don't know that I've ever heard it. And I certainly didn't know that's what it meant.
Yeah. So proprioception is how the body, you use three things to determine where your body is in space and your extremities: your eyes, your inner ear, and proprioception. Proprioception is information from the muscle spindles, all the muscles in your entire body that go up to your brain and relay through a system that determines equilibrium and how you move. The diaphragm, which he doesn't have, but sits right about here, and that is one of the biggest proprioceptive muscles in the entire body. So being able to engage it, use it, and that's huge. That's a lot of information. It helps you stabilize during work and activities, right at air bucket.
That's what you say. So if I'm on a horse or from riding a dirt bike or driving down the road, that's what tells me where my body is and how it's moving?
Yes, I can close my eyes and I can tell you my hand is out here. I can tell you about where it is. And my foot. And a good way to tell if you have good proprioception is bounce on one leg. You should be able to bounce on one leg.
Let's try it.
For at least 10 seconds. So just go and look. And you always want to do this in a safe place, not by the stairs or up high in there. Close to a wall or something you can lean on. But go on the right leg. Try to balance on that for 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3. Nice.
Okay.
Now, to the other one.
This leg's harder.
It's a little harder.
It's
So
harder. Yeah, I'm a little wobbly over here.
perfect. So you do pretty well. If you notice gripping, grabbing, it's hard to do, that's because that limb doesn't have as good as proprioception as the others. So when you're performing an activity, playing a sport, some injuries come from not knowing where certain things are while your eyes are tracking other things.
Interesting. That's really cool to know because I always thought it was just your vision.
No, when you get a person that maybe fallen more than normal or a junior athlete that's twisting a certain ankle more than normal, a lot of times their proprioception is decreased. And so you got to rehab that. And adjustments do play into it, hip mobility, knee, ankle, getting the spine in line, but also doing some type of rehab with that where you're loading the spine, you're doing some type of exercise, balance, breathing.
Yoga.
Yeah, yoga, any type of stability training or flexibility training. Some people aren't flexible enough. Some people are too flexible. So everyone's a little different.
I didn't know you could be too flexible.
Sometimes it's a thing. It's more rare.
Yeah, sometimes it's a thing. So with breathworks, doing yoga and meditation, and in my field, there's some certification courses now on breathing, like a breath coach and different things. So give me an example or a technique, like something you could do every single day.
Okay. So diaphragmatic breathing is something you do laying on your back, and we can do it now.
Let's do it now.
Random.
Yeah.
So how it works is you want to lay on your back. Do you want to do it first?
Yeah.
Let me show you.
Okay. So much fun. I love this.
You lay on your back, you put one hand on your belly,
Okay.
go like out on your chest, and you just breathe.
When you say just breathe like through my nose,
Your nose, lips closed, tongue against the mouth, breathing through your nose, filling up the stomach. And a lot of people sometimes will breathe more with their chest. Okay, so I'm breathing more with my belly and diaphragm, filling up. It's a negative pressure.
so that's got to be better, right?
This is the way to do it. So
Versus just like snipping through your nose.
360 degrees, engaging your diaphragm. That's what fills up the lungs, and then the chest fills along for the ride at the end. And it will rise some at the end, but you don't want to use a lot of these accessory and respiratory muscles. You'll see a lot of people that are super anxious, have a lot of neurological issues or back pain, depending on what's going on, and they will have this backwards. We might have to sign a HIPAA waiver or something.
Sure, we could do that.
So put this hand on your chest and then put this one over you. Now, just breathe.
But not through my nose.
Lips closed, tongue against the mouth, breathe through your nose.
Like the roof of my mouth or like my lips.
Let your tongue just press against the upper portion of your mouth with your lips closed. So you could fill up your belly a little more. I want this to move before this. So what you do is think about filling up your whole stomach a little bit more. But I want this to rise a little more to the ceiling. It's something you don't think about until you think about it.
Yeah, not that good at.
You're doing fine. It's better than most. Better. I want this to rise a little more. I want you to try to accentuate your stomach. Make it a little bigger.
Puff it out.
Puff it out a little.
I can eat like a big turkey dinner.
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. You're just getting a little more air in there. You're engaging your diaphragm.
Feel it in my spine.
Yes. There's a thing called a valsalva on the new. When you bear down, someone's about to punch you in the chest or something.
So you-
Stomach, you're straining, you're engaging the abdominis, transverse abdominis, diaphragm, everything to stabilize the trunk area.
That's wild.
That's the middle of you. So it's got to be stable or nothing else will be.
Works. So what if if it's not stable, then you're like wobbly or
Well, sometimes you could have it easier to injure a hip or have one side of your pelvis wants to stay up, or maybe you're having some rib issues because those ribs have to move. If they're not moving good, sometimes that won't let the chest expansion, and we'll adjust that patient's thoracic spine and they'll get up and take a big breath and, oh, wow, I can breathe.
that's wild.
Yes. You're doing good. That was great. What I recommend when you're doing this is for an exercise. So you want to start to do this for at least 5 or 10 minutes a few times a week to get in tune with this. You can do it laying like this, sideline as well. So laying on one side and doing it as well, and then laying on the other side and then laying like this.
Interesting.
Yeah, and this is just one small thing.
Okay, what do you think? Like maybe like a B plus?
A minus.
Well, what's interesting is when I work with people that are anxious or depressed, one of the things I talk about is their feet will turn in. Let's say they're just having a really rough day and their hands will turn in and they start doing this. And they become very protective of their body. And healthier people, when they're feeling less depressed or less anxious, they open their body up or whatever. But when you're doing that, when you're sitting like that, the last thing you can do well is breathe, like you were telling me. It'd be very difficult.
You're cramping it.
Yes.
So all this has to move. So if you're cramping that, either that be from the stress, anxiety, depression that's just innate, disabling you from moving everything good, or you're in a job or environment where you're real cramped, whatever that may be.
Like a profession, like you're a welder.
Yeah, in tight spaces, in certain cabs, or astronauts in space. But in different environments, things are different. Breathing's different. That's definitely some next level stuff there, but definitely important.
Well, tell me about how important breathing is whenever you're adjusting someone, because I've never been to a
Great
chiropractor.
question.
The cracking that I've heard about scares me. So tell me about that.
The cracking, the popping noise is more like fluid in between the synovial joints. In between the joints, there is fluid, and the gas that escapes through the fluid when you do a certain move, that's the pop you hear.
So the bone.
Not the bone.
Okay,
If
that's
the
good
bone's
enough.
stuck or not moving good and you take it to a certain space and then adjusting, it's basically putting it back in a better spot. It's not that it's moved out, but it's just giving it some room to move a little bit more.
Wow.
And the adjustments are just a small part of it, but they are important because how this stuff moves determines the spinal load, degeneration of bones, the discs, all that stuff is loaded properly. Things are out of whack or off kilter. That changes things. And then you add time to it. Then you have all kinds of issues. So we do a lot of maintenance care with people where we're maintaining their bodies over time, creating motion. And
So maybe they've had an injury and they've healed from that, but you're doing maintenance so that they stay real and stable and strong. And
I tell people it's like a car. You get it aligned and tuned up every now and then to keep it from degenerating and having issues and
hit the curve.
things wearing out. Yeah, you don't want to run over anything. But the physical aspect and the mental aspect go hand in hand.
Love that.
When I get adjusted, I feel great. It feels great and it drives the cortex.
Physically, you feel great, or mentally as well.
More loose, the bones are moving, the muscles are more free. But also the adjustment drives up cortex, how your brain works, fire neurons, and does a lot for the body. And we could probably spend a whole podcast just on that. But it does a whole bunch, and it is just a part of a patient's care, but it is an important part.
So when you see people who have injuries or back pain, where they have a long history, because I know you had shared that you do biopsychosocial when you're developing what someone needs, when they have a history of depression or anxiety or mood issues, how do you say to them, you need to breathe better? What do you tell people?
So the biopsychosocial aspect of care is another, we could probably spend a whole podcast talking about that. The way a person thinks about their problems and their pain and everything translates into fear avoidance and activity avoidance, then social issues, then it just spirals into some things. Getting them to work on their breathing is a non-conflict thing. When you come out and tell someone, hey, I think you got a biopsychosocial thing, Google that quickly. And so the breathing is just a way that you could just start ground zero right there with about any person on earth. It helps them tap into how they breathe, but their nervous system, the fight or flight response controls everything. Your sympathetics are always kicked in. You're super anxious. You're going to have all kinds of issues. And then trying to calm a person's nervous system down, you can do a lot of different things. Breathing is just a good start.
It's interesting because we try and help people, let's say if they're in recovery for an addiction, or children that have a lot of outbursts or behavioral issues. Maybe they're on the spectrum and they're very rigid in their movements and their thinking. And honestly, there's so many times when I meet someone, they're sharing with me what they want to be better. Here's what I'm doing well. This is what I'm struggling with. One of the things we always do is we talk about how to regulate your body. And breathing always comes in that. I can even tell when they're talking to me, they'll be like really tense and they're nervous and they're anxious. And then as we continue to talk, their body opens up, but their speech typically will become more even and regulated, and the rest of their body does too.
Watching their nervous system just calm down.
Yes. And I didn't really have words for what that was. I know you've got a couple great articles that you've talked about too.
Hamasaki 2020 was a study they did, and they found that people who have breathing issues will have trunk instability they'll have certain types of stress and depression. And they found that, can't remember the certain statistic on the prevalence in the population, but at least half of these people had some type of issue with their breathing.
Wow.
I would say at least now, I don't have a specific number on that.
Sure.
That wasn't in that particular paper, but I could probably, after we get done, find one. I definitely had an issue with it myself at one point. So in that study, they did find that the more stress and anxiety a person had, the less recruitment they had from muscle spindles. So the brain controls the contraction of muscles.
Okay.
If I'm stressed, anxious, depressed, my nervous system's downregulated, I'm not getting that recruitment. I'm not getting the proper breathing patterns. And then everything else spirals around that. Stress comes in a lot of things. It's not all emotional. Sometimes it's environmental, mechanical. So the job I have is real stressful. It hurts my back. I work too hard here.
I'm on my feet all day.
Yes, I work at a factory. I climb up and down ladders. If you sit 4 or 5 hours a day, you need to be doing some type of squatting, weight training to get the glutes, get the erector, get things fired up so you can be more resilient. And that's what it's about.
In longevity, I said this before on a couple of podcasts, there's a lot of studies that show that longevity is related to movement. And every 10 years, people tend to really decrease how much they move.
Unfortunately, yes. We're becoming a society with social media and all these things I can watch and do, Netflix, this and that. And sometimes we got to get outside, go for a hike or go to the gym or go climb.
Get away from the screens and get back to what the cavemen.
Yeah, they were out there throwing spears and lifting and eating off the land and stuff. And the food is definitely another topic. Nutrition, supplements, and things like that are important. So the body gets what it needs and you're able to move and have everything working good for you and you're in a good physical status and mental status. That's what life's about.
How you live a good life.
Yep.
And when you improve your quality of life, your enjoyment goes up so much and you're way more peaceful, satisfied, happy, you feel a purpose. You live a much more intentional, just sacred things. So I think that's all connected. You can't do those things if you can't breathe well and you hurt, or if you're depressed or you're so anxious you can't function or hold a job or hold a relationship. So it's all intertwined. And I think that's what I like about our podcast is we talk about a lot of different topics, but at the end of the day, they're all related to wellness, your emotional, your spiritual, financial, and physical wellness or your health. So I think what you're doing and the information that you gave us is so important. Hearing why I need to breathe and how to breathe, and that I could do it for 5 minutes 3 times a week, and no telling how much better my body would feel.
Right. It is something so simple can be something big for people. And there's so many stressors in people's lives.
Yeah.
Wellness encompasses everything you mentioned and something people need, getting people to live healthier lives, higher quality lives, better quality movement. It's important.
It's very, very important.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Very well. It's
So-
been fun.
You do a part 2. You got to bring Benny back.
He'll be back. I got to put him to work tomorrow.
He's got to come back and see us.
We'll definitely bring him back.
Well, awesome. We'll follow us on social media and our website, ShellyO'NeillWellness.com. And also, your company is West Kentucky.
West Kentucky Chiropractic. We're in Benton, Kentucky. If anyone ever needs anything, or we do free consultations with people, and we help people every day with all kinds of issues. This has been fun. Thank you, Shelly.
Welcome. All right. Thank you.